The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB-FM. Thank you for listening.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Many students are getting ready to return to colleges and universities this month, and for some, it's their first time in college. How do you know you have everything you need to be successful? Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and today on Hampton Roads Voices, preparing for college. Now, we're going to talk to experts who can help you put all the pieces together to make sure you're on the right track. Hampton Roads Voices, timely topics, fascinating guests, and passionate callers on Hot 91, right after this.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and welcome to Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities. Today, we're talking about preparing for college, and we have three expert guests in the studio. First of all, we have Malik Gladden. He's a financial aid advisor from the Financial Aid Department. Malik, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And then we have Dr. Felicia Melbain, a Student Success Center here at Norfolk State University. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Dr. Mebin here.
Dr. Mebin here. And then Dr. Juan Alexander. He's from the Office of Admissions here at Norfolk State University. Dr. Alexander, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, to lay the foundation, of course, August, a lot of college students will be going back to school, some returning students, and some, of course, obviously here for the first time. And so we wanted to have a series of programs and to let you know how to get ready. If you've already been here for a while or been at any university for a while, it is important to know the steps, the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, I like to call them. But let me go ahead and throw out that number. It's 757-823-9110. We definitely want to hear from you. Are you a returning student? How have you been preparing for college? Or if you're a parent or a caregiver, how have you prepared your student for college? What advice would you give to anybody getting ready for college? And did you start in time? What about the financial aid piece? What about registration? So again, the number is 757-823-9110. So I'm going to start with you, Malik, in financial aid. We'll get into a lot of pieces. But right now, I just want you to tell us just a brief overview as to what that department does and entails.
Well, we help the university and the parents and the students process the money they need to pay for college. Most students, they try to get in financial aid. It's not enough. We help them prepare for complete the FAFSA, completing the grants and scholarships, applying for state aid. We do federal aid. We have a federal work study. There's thousands of grants and scholarships students can receive. And it's a big process, so we try to get people to plan early, prepare them for coming for their first semester, continue to get money throughout their four years of college, and help them be responsible for paying loans back when they graduate as well.
That's a big piece there. So I like that you said start early. We'll get into that. And then Dr. Felicia Mebin, also from here at Norfolk State University Student Success Center. Would you give us an overview as to what entails in that department?
Sure. So in keeping with the 1, 2, 3s, we do three major things primarily for freshmen and sophomores. So we help them with academic advising, which means that we help them develop a curriculum map that says, here are the courses I should take over the course of 4 years in order to graduate on time. We also provide tutoring services. So if you've been in a class and your grades aren't quite what you want them to be, you can connect with your academic advisor, who will then connect you with a tutor or somebody who can help you with that. And then we also have mentoring programs. And so we're focused on connecting students to their academic departments and then providing resources that helps them to do well in the classroom.
And you mostly advise freshmen and sophomores.
Yes. So about a year ago, the university decided to invest in a model that would have professional advisors in the Student Success Center focus on freshmen and sophomores. And then once they become juniors and seniors, their advising and mentoring comes primarily from their academic department.
Okay, very good. And Dr. Alexander, the Office of Admissions.
Yes, so for the Office of Admissions, we're considered the gateway into the institution. Anyone who's interested in attending the university must come through our office. So first of all, we're responsible, one, for recruiting students to the institution, finding eligible students who we deem fit that will be successful in attending Norfolk State University. Then the other thing we do is a lot of counseling, just letting students know the majors that we offer based upon what their career aspirations are. We try to lead and guide them in the right direction as to what major that would help to fulfill their educational goal. The third thing that we do in the Office of Admissions is we process applications as well as make admissions decisions as to whether or not students can or cannot attend the institution.
Okay. And we'll look at some real specific things in terms of what makes a person eligible or not eligible. So are you a student starting out? Perhaps you're a freshman or a sophomore. Maybe you have been in college and you have some great advice to give. 823-9110. That's 757-823-9110. Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking about preparing for college, and we want to hear from you. So Malik, let's talk a little bit about let's start this conversation in terms of financial aid. What is one of the major challenges? I mean, I would imagine, obviously, that sometimes a person does not have enough money, but what are some of the major challenges in terms of the financial aid piece, and where do they start? Where does a person start?
Well, the first thing you want to do is apply very early. You can complete the FAFSA as early as October 1st of the year prior to you attending college.
Okay, so if someone's coming next school year, they need to apply October 2018.
Yep, October 1st, 2018. That's kind of new. This is the second academic year when that's been in place. So most people are not aware of it yet. Most people think you wait till you file your taxes like January, February, March. But you can do it a lot earlier now. Whenever you apply through admissions, like Dr. Alexander mentioned, when you start applying to be admitted to the university, you can do your FAFSA as early as that point. And early you apply helps us and help you guys know how much you need instead of waiting until the last week or 2 weeks before class starts to find out what your award package is. We can award you as early as possibly February or March or April, and classes will start in August. So it helps you and us be more relaxed.
Okay, so let's make sure that everyone understands what FAFSA is. What is that exactly? Let's even take a step further back to make sure they know what this is. We don't want to just throw out terms. Tell us what that is, please.
It's a free application for federal student aid. It's a federal application. It's free. Most every college and university in the country would use that application like we do, to give you Pell Grants, loans, helps you with grants and scholarships as well, work study. And it's a very simple application. We at the university help students all the time. Your guidance counselor, your high school will help you. There's definitely community organizations, churches, any nonprofit organization helps students a lot. But any student have questions, call us, stop by our office. We do workshops at high schools and churches and different parts of the community throughout the Hampton Roads.
So would you say that this is for a parent listening or a caregiver listening? Would you say that this is step one, if we were to put this in order? Is it first to decide how I can get the most amount of money, what type of money, what are opportunities there, and then decide what school I want to go to? Or should it be the reverse?
But this could be step one. The FAFSA allows you to list up to 10 different schools. So if you're considering Norfolk State, any of the first 10 schools on your list, you can complete the FAFSA before you apply for admissions, after you apply for admissions. But the earlier with us is the better. So it's always step one to ask for enough money, apply for the grant, scholarships, and loans, and then by then you can decide on the best college choice after you get admitted to that university or college.
And what are the parameters in terms of deciding how much money a person can be awarded?
Well, the first step is the FAFSA is going to ask for the parents and students' income,
okay,
the household family size, questions if you get untaxed income, just the basic financial information. There's nothing super technical that you wouldn't kind of figure out on your own without having a special guidance from a professional. But professional help is available through your guidance counselors, high school counselors at colleges and universities. But just your income and tax information, that's the basic 1 or 2 financial question that you ask on the FAFSA.
It is important that you say you can go to several places in order to get that. Now, Dr. Alexander, is this information something that you would need in the Office of Admissions, or that's a separate piece, as it were, even though this is really all integrated?
Yeah, it is a separate piece. However, I would say in terms of matriculating to an institution, I think the financial aid process would be the longest process. So what we try to encourage students to do who are interested in applying to the university, we just let them know, hey, we reinforce what financial aid says. Hey, you can go ahead on and fill out your FAFSA forms. Do that now so that at the time that you've been accepted to the institution and the time that you've been awarded financial aid simultaneously, it could possibly take place. Therefore, you've completed the first 2 hurdles, which is applying and then going through the financial aid process. So while we don't necessarily have direct responsibility in the financial aid process, we do talk to students about financial aid to make their transition to applying to the institution and matriculating to the institution a little bit easier.
Now, what have been your experiences out there, 757-823-9110, in terms of applying for colleges? Which ones are you looking at? How have your experiences been? And then the financial aid piece. We're going to be looking at all of that as we talk about preparing for college. Again, give us a call, 757-823-9110. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities. Today, we're talking about preparing for college success. We know that August, a lot of students will be headed to colleges and universities for the first time, and some are returning students. So we want to give you some tips and tools and resources and some information in case you are the person that is going back to school or going to school, or you are sending someone. So our expert guest today, we have Malik Gladden, who is the financial aid advisor here at Norfolk State University. Malik, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Dr. Felicia Mebin, she's from the Student Success Center at Norfolk State University. Welcome, Dr. Mebin.
Hello, everyone.
And Dr. Juan Alexander, the Office of Admissions. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we were talking about the financial aid piece and then moving into talking about admissions. So, Malik, you mentioned the FAFSA. You talked about where a person could get the forms and how they could be helped filling them out and things like that. But, Dr. Alexander, from that part of it to the admissions, would you let us know some of the general things that a person needs to look for in terms of when they're applying for a school?
Well, some of the things, I would say there are three things that a student would need to pay attention to when looking for an institution. One, I would always say institutional fit, meaning whether or not that is a good place for the student to attend. Do they feel comfortable there? The other thing that I would consider is the academic major. Based on what their career and educational aspirations are, does that particular institution offer that academic program that will help them get to their ultimate goal academically and professionally? And the third thing that I would look at is from a financial side, is this school affordable? Because finances play a major role in the college choice process. So those will be the three things that I would encourage students to think about as they pursue the college to attend.
Now, when you say a fit, would you unpack that just a little bit? The culture of it,
yes,
the activities, what do you mean by that?
Yes, so when I mean institutional fit, I mean the campus environment, the campus facilities, the people that they meet as they tour the campus, those type of general things.
Okay, all righty. And what would you say the general, just here at Norfolk State University, the culture is what? If someone's listening and say, I am interested in Norfolk State, I've been hearing about it. What is the culture here at Norfolk State?
Well, I would definitely say that it's definitely a family-oriented environment. You do have that one-on-one attention from your professors. I would definitely say that the institution is affordable, and we also have a lot of academic offerings.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, Dr. Mebin, when that student, that freshman, that sophomore, they come to the Student Success Center, what do you do for them, and how do you put these pieces right here together for them?
Sure. So what Dr. Alexander said actually flows over into your success in the first year. So if you are choosing a university that's a good fit for you, then there will be professors on campus who can work with you, and there will be advisors who will have the expertise that's needed to help you connect with networks, to help you connect with internships, to help you, with your classes. And so one of the things that students can do right off the bat to succeed is to hone in on their purpose, to hone in on their major. Now, if you're not clear, that can be okay too, because we do have a freshman seminar, we have workshops, we have a career services office that can help students think that through. But one of the sort of hallmarks of success in your first year is to really focus in on why are you here? Why are you getting this degree? What's your purpose? Is this the major for me? If not, what's a better major for me? So it flows out of the admissions process. If you make a good fit choice, then it'll be easier for you to settle in and really sort of do what you need to do in the classes.
I like that. And then it flows back to that financial aid piece that we talked about too. Is this the a place I can go, which gets me to admissions, which gets me to the Student Success Center. So it really is a picture. It's a puzzle.
It's all connected together.
It's all connected together.
It is.
Absolutely. Finding your place. Are you a student here at Norfolk State University or at another school, or perhaps you're an alumni and you want to talk about your great experience here? Give us a call, 823-757-823-9110. What have you done in terms of this entire picture, this piece of making your academic program a success? We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 757-823-9110. Now, Dr. Mebane, what is if there is a typical student at Norfolk State?
Oh, that's an interesting question. We were just talking about this in the break a little bit. We do have a good number of first-generation students. So Norfolk State offers a wonderful opportunity for families who may not have had someone who has gone to college before. And as Dr. Alexander mentioned, that's one reason why we have the Student Success Center. So if, yes, it might be anxiety producing to not have parents who went to college, but once you come here, you will be assigned an academic advisor, and that person will help you think through the things that you need to do to help you get started. So that's one sizable population that we have that makes us, I think, really cool and unique. We also have, ROTC programs and military programs. And again, one of the things that students can do to be successful is to identify what resources are on campus specifically for my situation. So we have student services programs for first generation students. We have a military affairs office that can help ROTC students. We also have, a growing population of distance education students, non-commuting students who don't necessarily stay in the dorms. Because they have to work or they have to take care of their families, and Norfolk State is able to give them opportunities. And so again, that all also connects to fit, because if you are in one of those categories, you're going to want to find a university that has resources to support you, and those are some of the things that we can do for students at Norfolk State. So the Student Success Center is one of the first places on campus a student can come on the academic affairs side to help them figure out what to do to succeed if they're not quite used to the college environment.
And that is important because so many times I have heard in the classroom that student is a first-generation college person, and their mom didn't go, their dad perhaps didn't go to college, so they are trying to make their way. They're trying to find out, what should I do? And also, I have found, and I'll ask both of you, Malik and Dr. Alexander as well, sometimes I have heard the students say there's a lot of pressure or responsibility,
sure,
because the family is looking at them.
That's
They're
right.
saying, you're the first one in our family to go to college. We want you to make it. And so they carry that into the classroom. It's real. It is very real.
Absolutely. They want to be good role models for their younger siblings or their cousins. And also, to make their parents proud, or their grandparents or their guardians. And so one of the things we try to do is to talk to students sort of through that, because you do have to kind of put that aside just a little bit, in order to focus on the campus and what you need to do to succeed.
Absolutely.
So you can do both, but there's a way to approach it so that you don't have those distractions, or you can put aside that pressure a little bit until you settle in.
And the resources for that. So are you a first generation college student? Have you been in that situation? Give us a call, 757-823-9110. We're talking about preparing for college. Now, Dr. Alexander, do you ask any of those kinds of things on the during the application process? The history, almost like when you go to the doctor, what is your history? Is there anything like that in the application process?
Yes, we typically ask on the application whether or not a student is first generation.
Why do you need to know that? Why is that important for admissions?
Well, typically when we do enrollment reports and certain data is asked, that's a question that comes up quite often as to how many first-generation college students that do we typically get a lot of first-generation college students making application to the institution. So last year will be the first year that we had started asking that information on the application. So hopefully sometime in August, September, the end of this month, beginning of September, we should have the statistics on that.
Have you found, both of you, that maybe if they're not first-generation college students, maybe there's a history here, even at Norfolk State.
Oh.
My mom went here, my dad went here, my grandma went here, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. I see you're nodding your head.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Dr. Alexander has all the stories on that one, but we do as well. So when we have open house or new student orientation, often the mom, the dad, the grandma who went to Norfolk State are with them when they tour the campus, as well as one of the things my office does as well is to register incoming students. And again, they come with their family members and they tell us just yesterday, actually, I had someone came in with his daughter who's a junior, and he said he was here in 1975. So they very proudly make that connection.
Very proudly. Have you found that to be the case too, Dr.
Yes,
Alexander?
we have, and what we've actually done is in partnership with the Alumni Affairs Office, we've created what we call a Legacy Day. It's sometime in February. Well, typically what we'll do is have a series of events for alumni and maybe their siblings or their children, things of that nature.
Oh, that's nice.
And for the admissions portion, what we typically do is if we have an alum who has a child who wants to attend the institution, we have an on-site admission session where we waive the application fee. If the student has the transcript and test score, we can offer them a decision on the spot if they meet the requirements. So just kind of an incentive for students to apply early and an incentive for legacy students to take advantage of.
Now, Malik, you of course doing the financial piece of it as well. Does the type of student affect the process at all, or how do you see that part there in financial aid?
Well, it doesn't affect the process for us at all. The first generation college students, they normally have more questions and need more help. They need more guidance from us as professionals. If you're not a first generation college student, your parents went to college and your grandparents went to college, they're a little more in tune. They kind of know what questions to ask. They know what they need. They probably be more prepared when they get to the campus or before they apply for financial aid. But we offer this to everybody. First generation college students are probably the neediest. We try to generate questions for them, try to ask questions that they don't know the answer to without us kind of digging for extra details. But we get questions from everybody and generations of returning students, and sometimes we have students that have siblings that go here as well. So we have a Spartan family plan.
I like that.
I don't want to forget to mention that because sometimes we have siblings that go here and they get a discount if they have a sibling go here.
Oh,
at the same
did you hear
time.
that? Let's go to the phones. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm actually calling from Newport News.
Rachel, what is your comment or question?
My comment actually is in regards to the application process and preparing for college. I'm actually an alumni of Norfolk State for both my bachelor's and master's, and so behold.
Yes.
I did want to...
Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to go ahead and mention that the most difficult thing that I found preparing for college was the financial aspect. Granted, I wouldn't change any experience I got from Norfolk State. However, preparing, you can never be over prepared. So you definitely want to go ahead and get, all your financial aspects together. Apply for scholarship, find out what grants and things like that the school of the department that you're in may have for you. And, so that was my quick comment I had on that and preparing yourself.
Absolutely. And did you start early in the process, Rachel? Again, Malik had mentioned starting early. Were you able to do that, to start early to get this process taken care of?
Actually, no. Unfortunately, I was not able to start as early as I could have. Those who are transitioning from graduating their senior year in high school and coming over to college, I would say spend most of that, last semester in your senior year preparing, if not before, because that would leave ample time for you to go ahead and get financially ready, even if you haven't started saving even before that. I know a lot of parents have the opportunity to put away money for their kids' college fund, and for some kids who are fortunate enough to get scholarships through sports and athletic departments and music departments and things like that, that's a blessing as well. But unfortunately, I was not able, to prepare as much as I wanted to. But, being at Norfolk State, they they definitely worked with me. Different scholarships I was able to apply for through the Mass Comm department, and different scholarships online, going to scholarships.com and being able to, look through scholarships there and applying for what best fits you and your needs.
Wonderful. Rachel, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Now, Malika, I like that Rachel said in terms of a lot of different ways to get some money. Okay, not just the traditional ways, but in different departments, they might have some money, different scholarships, looking online. Before we move to break, let's look at just the scholarship piece. She mentioned, I think, scholarships online. Talk about that just a little bit for someone who's listening and they said, yes, that sounds like what I need.
But the first place people look will be online. You can Google different scholarships. They got different fast web type scholarship websites, search engines for scholarships only. The outside the box scholarships I would suggest is check your local church. Most people attend a church in your area. Each organization, any sorority, fraternities, offer scholarships. You can look at big corporations like Google and Walmart, obviously, but sometimes the smaller organizations, any community activity that you go through offer scholarships. So just keep an open mind. The big number of scholarships come from small places and large places. If you have a family member or friend that's in any organization, small or large organization, all organizations you can think of will offer some type of scholarship.
Absolutely. I like that you say it doesn't always have to come in these large packages. A whole bunch of little things might matter. And I like that you say go to the churches, because if you've been there since you were 5 or something, they know you. They know your grandma. And then they'll say, yeah, we want to give you something. Places want to help. Organizations, they do want you to be successful. So give us a call. What are your experiences? What have your experiences been? 757-823-9110. We're talking about preparing for college. This is Hampton Roads Voices, where we speak life into your communities at Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices at Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and welcome back to Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking about preparing for college. We have Malik Gladden from the Financial Aid Department, the Director of Student Success Center, Dr. Felicia Mebane, and the Director of the Office of Admissions, Dr. Juan Alexander. Now, Dr. Mebane, right before the break, we were talking about preparing and looking at resources exactly. Now, but you made a point during the break that there are some resources once you get here. There's some places to go to find money, to get resources. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So one of the differences between high school and college is that it's up to the student to take more responsibility for finding resources.
Right.
And they may not be as presented to you because they're going to depend on your major, they're going to depend on your circumstances. And so in connection with what Malik was saying before the break, one piece of advice is for students to network as soon as they get to campus. It's never too late to introduce yourself to staff members and faculty members, because those are the people who can help write recommendations for scholarships. So as you're piecing together scholarships when you get on campus, you're going to want to make those. So it's maybe a little bit easier to go to your community, to go to your church, because they know you and you know them. Once you get on campus, you're sort of starting over. So you have to take the time to get to know people on campus who can write those recommendations. And you never know when someone on campus might have a scholarship that you didn't know about in advance. So you can start to piece together those small scholarships with the networking and connections that you make on campus.
I think that's really important, because I've been asked as a teacher many times to write recommendations, but you have to also remember that the professor is looking at how you interact in the classroom. Do you come to class? Do you do the work? And then at the end of the semester, hey, can you write me a recommendation? It's like, wait a minute. You haven't even come to class half the semester.
That's right. It matters. It matters.
Really does matter. So that's important. What have your experiences been? Give us a call at 757-823-9110. How have you prepared for college? How have you gotten the resources and the funding to go to school? Are you a first generation college student? Or maybe you are, behold, the green and gold. You have been here. Your family members have been here. Tell us your experiences. 757-823-9110. Now, one of our associate producers asked about grad school. I'm going to jump ahead just a tiny bit because I talked about the alumni and so forth. What about the student? What does the Success Center do for the student who's perhaps already graduated?
So actually, the Student Success Center doesn't focus on that, but I do have experience working with graduate students. And so I think one of the keys, in the same way that Dr. Alexander said, you should start early. Everybody has said start early, thinking about the fit, the match, the purpose. One of the most important things about graduate school is honing in on why you're there. You know, graduate school is too expensive. It's really hard. You don't want to waste any time. And so when you're applying to graduate school, you need to have a purpose. I'm going to get a master's degree because it will help me make more money in these particular roles. And once you have narrowed in on why you're doing it and what institution you think will help get you there, then you go all in. Because graduate school, in the same way that college is another level of study and preparation from high school, graduate school is another level of study and preparation from college. And so before you invest in that time and money, you want to make sure that you know why you're doing it. So when the going gets tough, you hang in there and succeed.
And you succeed. Malik, are there different financial forms, applications, processes for the graduate student?
It's the same process. To complete the FAFSA is the first step, as always. Most grad students will receive enough money to pay for their tuition and fees. Grad students get a larger amount of aid. Most of the time it's student loans, but they get offered enough to cover the tuition fees. They don't have to struggle as much as an undergrad student. We do have university fundings for grad students, depending on their major. University offers graduate fellowship grants for grad students if you qualify. So the funding is there for grad students. It's not a struggle as much. The government do allow a larger amount of money towards grad school, and the fund is available.
I was going to say, and it's available because you have a smaller pool of students, and the fit is so important. So you don't get a general master's degree in health policy, which is my field. I was interested in mass comm and health policy and public health, so I chose UNC because it was the place that had that focus. And you want to be sure there are professors there who are doing the type of work that you think you want to be doing, and that they have grants and they have teaching assistantships and they have research assistantships. So the match is so much more important precisely because schools invest a lot of money in that resource and supporting graduate students.
And as you said, it's the next step up. It's a higher level and a higher level of commitment, actually, as well. So that's so important. Dr. Alexander, is the admissions process different for the graduate student?
Well, my office strictly focuses on undergraduate.
Oh, undergraduate, okay.
Undergraduate admissions. But if we do a little bit of recruiting graduate students as well, we'll be doing more this upcoming fall in terms of the recruitment process. But the admissions process is handled through our graduate studies office.
And so it is similar. You know, you have an application. Usually there's a personal statement of some sort. Why do you want to attend this institution? What's your purpose? You have an open house or a visit so that you can connect with people and get to know people. It's just taken up a notch.
And typically on the graduate level, you have more faculty department individuals making the decisions rather than specific people. Yes.
Absolutely. What would you say? Let me throw those numbers out one more time. That's 757-823-9110. Perhaps you're thinking about graduate school. What are your concerns? What is your preparation like? Give us a call at 823, that's 757-823-9110 here on Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking about preparing for college. Now, overall, what would you say are some of the major concerns, Dr. Mebane, I'll start with you, of a person who they've decided to go to school, but they're still maybe on the fence, or they're dragging their feet. They're not starting early, October 1st. They're not sure. What's going on? What's happening? I know that's a big general question, but overall, you've met enough students too.
Well, I mean, I think it's the uncertainty. You know, I had a student call me. I had already talked to her about her registration. She was an incoming student. And she was concerned because on her schedule, it said one class met from 9 to 10, and the second one met from 10 to 11. And she said, Dr. Mebane, how am I going to have time to get from one class to the other? And I said, well, don't worry about it, because actually on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they meet 15 minutes. You're going to have time. We wouldn't set it up so you wouldn't have time. But it's just because she's not here on campus. There's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety because it's unfamiliar. And so I think that's one of the challenges, is sort of trusting that there will be resources on campus and that we have process. So, for example, we've had new student orientation to help get students acclimated. We have a go-gay week, or an incoming student, a week of time before classes start that new students come in, and then we provide opportunities for students to learn things, to go to classrooms, to connect with resources. So I think that's one big part of the transition is just not understanding and knowing the exact, details of how it's going to work.
That's right, and figuring it out, but knowing that there are resources at all schools, all colleges and universities that can help you take it step by step. Now, in the admissions process and on the applications, what do they say are some of their concerns? What have you found to be the case, Dr. Alexander?
I think for us, the major thing is students wanting to know whether or not we have specific majors. So I think that's really the only concern that we see on our admissions applications is pretty much determining a major. And then we run into a lot of situations where a student decides, for example, I want to be a lawyer. So since you all don't have a degree program that says lawyer, then it's, well, you all don't have my major. Well, the truth is we do have a political science program, which gets you a step further in terms of getting you to think about going to law school. And the other thing is that you can really major in most things and go to law school later.
You can.
So I guess a concern would be students really not knowing what they want to major in and then how they can get to where they want to be in specific fields.
And I would imagine, Dr. Mebane.
I was going to say one other thing is, to be honest, I think some people who have had success in high school, they may not have enough anxiety sometimes. I think they understand how much studying they're going to have to do. And in actuality, it's going to be very different. I think they understand if I take 5 classes, it's going to be like my 5 classes in high school, and it's not the same thing. So that is one challenge as well, is that, you're not in high school anymore. It's going to require a lot more study, a lot more focus, a lot more discipline. Your teacher's not going to make sure you get to your next class. Your mom may not call you every day, to make sure you get out there. And so that's actually one of the other challenges students have for transition.
Really, and seeing that there is a difference, or even adding that your mom's not going to call the teacher and say, hey,
he's running a little late.
He's running a little late. I'm going to drive him up to class. So what, again, have your experiences been? 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. We have someone on the line. Caller, where are you calling from, and what is your name, please? You're live on the air.
I'm calling from Virginia Beach, and my name is Tanisha Nicholson.
Okay, Ms. Nicholson, what is your question or comment?
I wanted to make a comment about the scholarships, the information that you share. I know you always saying that apply for the scholarships, but I came into a problem when my daughter started in Norfolk State because she didn't get the scholarships that she applied for. So I was just saying that make sure you all have a backup of scholarships and money, financial aids, and things that's needed so that you can start college, and make sure you put all that information in before the deadline.
Absolutely. So had you started, did you say that you started a little bit late, or you had to go to a plan B, you're saying?
No, yeah, I had to go to a plan B because my daughter is attending there now. She would be a junior, right? Yes, she would be a junior.
She'll be a junior.
Yes, and that when she first started, we didn't get the scholarships that she applied for, so we had to go to a plan B and get the additional scholarships needed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Malik, what do you think about what Tanisha said?
That's a great overview. Most students wait and find out late, right before the summer ends, that they need an extra scholarship. Most scholarship deadlines, just so you know, would be around February, March, April. Most time before May or June, scholarship deadlines are passed. But most people think about the scholarship money and the amount needed around July and August. So if you know a scholarship that you missed from the previous school year and the deadline was maybe February, March, or April, next year it's probably going to be the same date, the same requirements, the same contact, same information. So you look at it now. I missed it last February, March, April, or May. Next year, 2019, same schedule, same process, same contact, same requirements. So you can plan now for next year from the same scholarships you may have missed already.
Now, is it possible not to ask the question, can you have too much money? That's not it. But can you have too many scholarships or something, and the university won't allow you to use all of that, or that's not even a possibility?
Well, there is a budget, a cost of attendance that the government has us use. You can get awarded up to the cost of attendance. If you have more scholarships than it allows you to have, we'll reduce your loan for you. So, for instance, if you had student loans and scholarships, and you got a new scholarship for an extra $5,000 or $6,000, we'll reduce your loan by $5,000 or $6,000 so you can see the free scholarship instead of having the loan debt.
Oh, absolutely. That makes sense. And Dr. Member, you're shaking your head like, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's good. But also, it also brings up a point that we do have a significant number of students who work. Mm-hmm. So if they're not able to get scholarships, that is a challenge that some of our students have. And especially as a new student, one thing that I advise is, if at all possible, focus on the academics your first semester. Get a handle on how much studying you're going to need to have, how much sleep you're going to need to have. Make sure you have the right major, and then fold the work in. I know it's not possible for everybody, but students often ask for, classes to occur during certain hours so that they can have work schedules. And then we have to talk with them about how to balance that and keep academics as the main focus.
And it can get very complicated because many of the students, they might have children.
Right.
And they have that schedule, plus they have their own schedule. They have their work schedule. Then they have to spend time on homework and then their own studies. So it's such a juggling act but it's so important that the Success Center is there with the resources to help them walk through the process. Now, tell us a little bit, and then we're right before the break. Tell us, we'll start the conversation in terms of some of the other resources that are available. We were, during the break, you mentioned child care and some of the other resources that are available.
I do know that, because I've seen it on the board. One thing, actually, I want to make a plug as well for paying attention to resources. So we sent the office, our financial aid office has someone who focuses on scholarships. She sends emails, the students need to pay attention. We have social media accounts, including the Student Success Center, admissions office, other offices, and we're constantly sending information out saying, hey, here's a new scholarship, here's the deadline. So students pay attention to that. That'll be helpful as well. I do know we have a group for young parents, for new parents on campus. I know there's a daycare. I don't know many details about that. But I am very confident to say that if childcare or having a family is a challenge that you have, that talking with your academic advisor or talking with someone on campus before there's a big issue is the best way to position yourself to be able to do that and the academics.
Right. And it is important to stay in contact with your professors and let them know what's going on. So again, what have your experiences been? 757-823-9110. We definitely want to hear from you. How have you juggled family, work, school all together? We want to hear how you have been successful. Again, give us a call, 757-823-9110. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking today about preparing for college success. And in studio, we have three guests. We have Malik Gladden. He is the financial aid advisor here at Norfolk State University. Malik, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for being here.
We have Dr. Felicia Mebin, who is the director of the Student Success Center. Thank you so much, Dr. Mebin.
You're welcome.
Mebin, excuse me, I said that wrong. And Dr. Juan Alexander, also the director of the Office of Admissions. Thank you, Dr. Alexander.
Thank you.
All right, so we've been talking about a lot of pieces, and we want to hear from you as well. Don't forget the number is 757-823-9110. Have you had success in terms of college, in terms of the financial aid piece, in terms of fitting in the right environment, your major? What questions do you have? Maybe you're starting school for the first time or you are a returning student. Let's hear from you. 757-823-9110. So Malik, the financial piece is so important in terms of one of the first steps to have a person prepare for college. But sometimes it's not knowing where to get the money from, or also being aware or maybe concerned about student debt. Talk a little bit about student debt, because we hear it in the news all the time.
Well, the biggest fear from financial aid is not getting enough. But bigger than that, after you get enough and you graduate or you accrue the debt, is how are you going to pay this big lump sum back? What most people are not aware of, there's a service out there the government provides to us called Public Service Loan Forgiveness, where if you work in the public service field and you make 120 payments towards your loan debt, they can forgive the remaining portion. The public service field is very broad, working for the city, working for the state, working for the federal government, working for a nonprofit organization, working for any school, public school or private school, or working for a church. That's hundreds of thousands of jobs within the community that people actually work at every day, and they don't know that this program exists. So you're going to have the debt, you're going to pay your loan back, but at some point it could be forgiven.
Absolutely. Now, I have not heard that part of it before. Give me, again, one more time in case someone is just joining us, that list that you just said a moment ago, the church, working, school. Give us that one more time, please.
It's a broad list. So any public service job could be working for the city, city of Norfolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, working for any state, Commonwealth of Virginia, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, state of Texas, Florida, California, work for the federal government, like most people try to find federal jobs, work for a nonprofit organization, work for a church, work for any public school or private school, working at Norfolk State University is a public service, working at Hampton University, which is private, working at Norfolk Public Schools and Norfolk Christian Schools. Those are still a public service.
Now, how does the person find out about that? Where is there a website that they can go to?
Well, to keep it simple, most people try to figure this out on their own, but to keep it simple, I tell people all the time, you can type in 4 letters on Google, PSLF, which is Public Service Loan Forgiveness. Type in those abbreviations. The first thing will pop up is going to be the student aid site talking about the public service program. It'll give you the things I just mentioned. There's a certification form you can fill out. You fill it out, have your job certified that you've been working there, how long you've been working there. You send it back into the loan servicer, give it 2 weeks. They'll send you a letter in the mail saying, congratulations, you're in the program, and they'll monitor your payments from there on out.
Now, that is information that I know our listeners needed to hear. So the financial aid piece obviously affects the success, the academic success. Dr. Mevin, talk about that. How does that one affect the other?
So from the perspective, from my perspective in academic affairs, it's also the other way around. I don't think all students understand sometimes. So every university has what they call academic standards. So if your GPA is below a certain level, you might be on probation, for example. And the exact GPA that triggers probation will depend on whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. This information is readily available in what we call the course catalog or on the website, exactly what you have to earn in terms of your GPA to be in good academic standing.
Right.
Good academic standing is important because you may not qualify for financial aid if you're not in good academic standing. And so sometimes students' GPAs will go below the academic standing line, and they will have another chance at that. So we have something called a satisfactory academic plan, which says, okay, here's what I plan to do over the next year in terms of my grades, in terms of my classes, in order to get myself back into good academic standing. So your GPA affects your financial aid. Is what some students don't understand. You can't just come to school, fail all your classes, and keep getting financial aid. It doesn't work that way. We give you ample opportunity, to work out a plan and get yourself back on track. But that's not something you can just decide to do on your own. There are processes for that. You have to meet with an academic advisor. You have to plan out your courses. You have to get certain grades in those courses to get yourself back in good standing. So the big advice is please pay attention to your GPA so that you don't have to worry about your financial aid in that respect, because they are closely tied together.
Oh, absolutely. And what you do in the classroom affects all of that.
It matters. That's right.
It matters. Now, in the admissions process, Dr. Alexander, do the students know that, or how is that information given to them? So when they're applying and they're wanting to be accepted, they understand this.
Well, we typically talk a little bit about those things when we're doing our admissions presentation. But I think that once they get to the financial aid counseling portion of it and the Spartan Success Center, I think they go into more detail.
Go ahead, Amelie.
Well, during the month of February, we have Financial Aid Awareness Month. So we have workshops and events throughout the month of February. We actually have a workshop on SAP during the summer.
Excellent.
Most people find out that they're not making SAP after their grades come in from the spring semester. So we have workshops for the students and also for the faculty that have to complete those applications with the students to become eligible. The biggest thing, the GPA is one part of it. It's 3 parts. The GPA is the biggest part. You want to maintain a 2.0 or higher. You want to complete 67% of your courses or higher. You complete the majority of your courses, but it's less than 67% of the completion ratio, you're not making SAP. And also, once you're attending the university for so long, you can't attempt over 150% of the course that you attempt. So most degrees are 120 credit hours. But if you've been in school long enough, you attempted 180, then you SAP. So you've been in school, you drop classes, or you change your major so much, and you attempted 183 credit hours, and you haven't graduated, you're no longer eligible. So you have to go through the SAP process, and Dr. Mevin and her staff does a great job of counseling the students, helping them with their SAP plan, and make sure they can come back to school and go through the process so they can get financial aid again.
So we're talking about student success. So let's look at the aspect of why is it, and I know we touched on this just a little bit, but why is it sometimes that a person drops out or is not successful? Obviously, there are family issues or work issues, but what have you seen?
Well, one of the things we just mentioned, the SAP, which stands for Satisfactory Academic Progress.
Okay.
I say SAP like 4 times. I make sure everybody know the definition. But SAP is one thing. If you lose your eligibility and your grades are so low and you can't get financial aid again, you may drop out. But you can get other types of aid. There's also private loans you can get. You can do payment plans through student accounts. But there are loan limits and Pell Grant limits that prevent you from coming back to school as well. The federal government allows you to borrow $57,500 towards your bachelor's degree. But if you're in school for 4 or 5 or 6 years, you can run out of that type of loan.
You might.
And also, as a Pell Grant limit, you can get 6 years equivalent. So if you go to community college, transfer a few times, have been in school for a long time, you can run out of Pell Grant as well.
What have you seen, Dr. Mevin?
I think time management is one of the challenges, especially that new students have. So, and I've reflected on this a couple of times, but it's so important. So we recommend that students coming in, and this is under the umbrella of academic skills. So the Student Success Center offers workshops that help students develop these skills or enhance these skills. So note-taking is an academic skill that some students have to learn in college. Time management is a skill because you have this wonderful freedom, but you also have these responsibilities, and you have to sort of map out how that fits together. And so those are the two challenges, two of these sort of academic related challenges, other than being in the classroom, right? So they relate to being in the classroom, but other than instruction. Another challenge that some students have is, we have an international faculty.
Right.
We have faculty who come from other countries, and sometimes students, they may not be used to a particular accent that a professor might have, or sometimes professors they're so knowledgeable about their fields, they may not communicate as well as students would like. And so again, one of the challenges is to figure that out, is to figure out how do I make sure that I'm understanding every presentation, every lecture, every expectation when there might be a communication issue.
Right. And I've heard that many times from students, so that is important. But as an adult in a new realm, it is important to be able to go to the instructor and say, I'm missing some of the notes. Is there something else I can do, or in your department, and so forth? So that's important. So again, we're asking to hear from you, 757-823-9110. Have you been in the classroom, and how have you been successful there? What about your academic success, your resources, your scholarships, your financial aids, or admissions? Give us a call if you have any questions or comments for us, 757-823-9110. And so in terms of the African American or the black student entering college, Dr. Alexander, are there any particular things that student needs to be aware of, specifically in the African American community?
Well, I think it really depends. When you're talking about African American, are you talking about African American first generational, or you're talking about African American middle class, more affluent type student? So I would say definitely, within the African American more affluent communities, I think one of the things that we want to be conscious of is the cultural dynamics of attending an institution.
Okay.
Because as you say right now, as we always say, African American students have a lot of options now. They no longer have to attend HBCUs.
That's right.
So for students who don't attend HBCUs, it's a matter of a cultural thing. Particularly if they attend more predominantly white institutions, they will be considered the minority. So it's a matter of adjusting for that. When you're talking about more affluent, I would say African Americans who may attend more predominantly white high schools, It's an adjustment coming to an HBCU where pretty much everybody in your classroom is pretty much African American.
Right.
Okay, so now for the first generational student, it's a whole nother dynamic. It's, as we talked about, getting adjusted to the classroom in terms of academically, trying to find the resources that they would need to have. Just the adjustment of getting adjusted to campus life. So it's a whole different dynamic.
Now, do you find that to be the case in the Student Success Center? Do you ask those kinds of questions? First generational, affluent, even though it may not be, stated that way. And what have you found in terms of them fitting in? Because as Dr. Alexander said much earlier, the fit at a university is very important.
It is. And we don't have to ask specifically because, the advisors talk with the students.
Okay.
So particularly ones who, we have sort of alerts to indicate they might be at risk. So if a student is not showing up to class, or we see after the 5th week that their grades are not what they need to be, if they're at a certain level, we require students to come in so that we can talk to them. And usually that comes out in the discussion, and then we're able to connect them with resources. And so it actually kind of doesn't matter what your category is in that regard. Mm-hmm. If there's an indicator that you're not succeeding, we need to talk to you and we need to figure that out. And some of that's going to be the same whether you're first generation or minority, and then some of it might be unique to, I'm the first person in my family, my father lost his job, something, that might be somewhat unique for that particular student. So, but one, again, piece of advice is we require students to come in, but we can't force you to. And so, please pay attention to our outreach or any outreach from campus, especially at certain times. So we're not trying to wait until a week before classes end to say, oh, you're having a problem. Let's see how we can. We have processes to reach out to you sooner than that, but right. You have to reach back out to us so that we can make the connection and provide support.
And be willing to say, I need help.
Yes. And that might be something about our community that we're not necessarily good at, is to say out loud, I think I need some help, and it's okay.
It's okay. All right. Again, we want to hear from you. 757. Give us a call at 823-9110. We're talking about your success in college. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices. We're talking about preparing for college success. And because August, many students start school or returning to school, we're wanting to get you ready here on Hampton Roads Voices. Don't forget to call in. We want to hear from you. 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. How have you prepared to go to college? What about your financial loans and applications, the admissions process? How have you planned ahead of time? Give us a call again at 757-823-9110. And in the studio, we have 3 guests. We have Malik Gladden, who was a financial aid advisor here at Norfolk State University, Dr. Felicia Mebin, who is the director of the Student Success Center, and the director of Office of Admissions, Dr. Juan Alexander. So we have talked a lot, really, about students preparing and getting ready and taking the reins, as it were, of their own success and process. But what about the parent or the caregiver? How can that person help? Dr. Alexander, I'm going to start with you in the admissions process. What can the parent do? What should their role be?
Well, from my standpoint, some of the advice that I would give to parents would be to start early. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, early exposure is very important throughout the college choice process. So what do I mean by start early? I'm talking about as early as 9th grade.
Wow.
Talk to your students about going to college, talking about majors, interesting careers that they may be interested in, but also talking about where they would like to go to school, whether or not they want to go to college. Because sometimes a 4-year institution, starting from the beginning, may not be necessarily a good fit for a particular student. They may need to start off at a community college. They may consider going into the military, or they may even want to consider doing a trade or something like that. So I would say start early. Also, particularly as it relates to SAT and ACT test scores,
okay.
I would encourage parents to have their student or their child to take the tests early, the SAT. They have the pre-SAT, which students can take, I believe, as early as ninth grade, so that students can be introduced to the exam, so that when they get to their 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, or 11th or 12th grade, they're already familiar with the test, which the probability of them scoring higher would be greater because of that early exposure. And the same thing for ACT, which is the ACT plan, which is, I guess, the pre-ACT test that students can take in their 9th, 10th grade years. So I would definitely say that, and I also look at the finances in terms of parents understanding, these are the schools that my child are interested in. And we do also know that interests change from year to year.
They do. Speaking
from experience. So you just really never know. But for parents to be prepared financially as to what it's going to cost, to have an realistic picture as to what it's going to cost. So, how much am I going to wind up spending? But the last piece of the early exposure is that getting students to know and to understand what is it that I need to do in order to get some type of financial assistance, meaning a scholarship from a particular institution. Find out what the admissions criteria is for those particular institutions. Yeah, well, I want to go to Elon University, but I have no idea as to what the academic requirements are for me to attend that particular institution. So I would say encourage a student to do those things. And again, early exposure is most important as I see it from the admission side.
Okay.
And yes, I have one additional point on that. Another way to have early exposure are summer programs, summer camps. They can, even athletic camp, softball camp, but also academic ones. So try math camp, try science camp, try, drama camp, because those last a couple of weeks. It helps your student acclimate to being on a college campus.
Right.
There are scholarships for that. There are lots of opportunities for students to do that where the parents don't have to pay. It helps the parents practice letting go maybe just a little bit. But those are also things as early as junior high school. There are all kinds of opportunities all along the way. And also applying for those can get you in the practice of putting your application, the parents and the students expressing themselves why they want to go to camp, pulling all those resources together. Another really great opportunity for getting ready.
That really is. And I like that you say it allows that young person to see what it feels like to even be on a college campus. Oh, wow, look at this building, look at that building. Okay, what can the parents do in terms of financial aid?
Well, it's never too early. Most college students think about money for school when they apply to college, but you can start as early, like Dr. Alexander mentioned, as 9th grade. Maybe even middle school, elementary school. Most parents know their college students are going to come to school and need, funding. But if you got a child that's very smart, to talk about college in elementary or middle school, high school, it's never too early. Like I like to say, most of us don't plan to fail, but we just fail to plan. So you got college savings plans, 529 plans. If you go into college in Virginia have commercials on TV all the time. It's a tuition monster. You have college savings plans for any college you go to outside of Virginia. You want to look at the university costs, like Dr. Alexander mentioned. You might mention Norfolk State on your list. Hopefully, we're on your list. But if you look at University of Richmond, they cost 3 times as much as we do, maybe 4 times as much as we do, maybe. Look at that cost as you go through 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Maybe you already started saving for college. Maybe you already got a 529 plan in place. It's never too early to think about how much it's going to cost, have your list together. And the money is available, especially if you apply early and plan early.
That's right. And I liked so much that you say you can start saving. You can start saving. You don't have to wait until they're 9th or 10th grade. At 5, at 4. Go ahead and get started with that because it will help, obviously, on the other end. Okay, so parents, what can they do?
So I have 2 pieces of advice for parents that are going to seem like the opposite of each other.
Okay, that's okay.
So one thing that parents can do when their students are in college is to ask questions about their experience and to let the students know that they're still paying attention and that they still care and that they still want to help them. But at the same time, they need to give their college students some space to figure some of this out for themselves. But I think there's a way to balance that. You don't disconnect completely, but you need to encourage them to pay attention to the emails. You need to encourage them to map out their schedules. You need to encourage them to talk to people and to network and do all of that because it is their response. As many resources as we have, it's ultimately the student's responsibility to pass their classes and make sure that they are doing what they need to progress. We are here for support. The faculty provide the knowledge and skills and networks. We on the academic and student affairs side provide support, but the student's the person in the middle who has to do what needs to be done in order to earn that degree. So at the same time, we need parents to be supportive. We also need them to give the students space enough to take responsibility and to grow into their adulthood, and so that when they earn that degree, they can go out and be great Spartans.
And and for some parents, and I told you in the break, one of those, tiger moms, it is very difficult. So it's a growing process for both the parent and for the student, the student to take the responsibility, and for the parent to let go. Because if you're used to doing almost everything for your child, all of a sudden it's like, Mom, I can do this myself. You think, what? No, you can't. But they can. We want to hear from you. 757-823-9110. How have you prepared your student for college? How have you prepared yourself? We want to hear from you at 757-823-9110. So here's that child, and they have decided to go perhaps to an HBCU. And Dr. Alexander, you mentioned really at the top of the show, or the first hour, about a perfect fit, or not a perfect fit, but a fit into a different school. We know that college is a melting pot, as it were, for many different backgrounds, cultures, socioeconomic standards, and those kinds of things. So what do you say in terms of that? How can a student from a various background fit at a particular school?
Well, I always say, as you say, college is a melting pot. But I think, attending an HBCU, as I always say, you are going to find that nurturing environment from professors. We're going to have a wealth of resources because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that students are successful. Mm-hmm. We always say that students, you're not just a number, but you are as an individual. So at an HBCU, we're going to develop you, as such, because we want to make sure that you are successful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dr. Mevin.
So one way to think about this, because the melting pot can be on a variety of characteristics, right? You might be an introvert, and a lot of people are out there having fun, and you don't know how to fit in. Mm-hmm. You might come from the Northeast, and you've never been in the South, or vice versa. You might be an athlete, and there aren't a lot of athletes. But one thing that does bring all students together are those degree programs. Mm-hmm. And so whatever major you're in, there are going to be other students in your major, and that could be the first initial group that you connect with, especially around the academics. And so the departments are going to have opportunities to bring all of their majors together, their freshmen, their sophomores, and you can take that opportunity to introduce yourself to people. There are also student organizations that focus on, there's the history, the pre-nursing club or the nursing club that are around academics. And so that's another way to connect with people, whatever, the characteristic is that you have that you feel might separate you from everybody else, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And another thing, too, is on the academic side, we encourage students to form their own study groups. Okay. So you don't have to wait for us to tutor you. You can also, figure out who's doing well in class, who is taking good notes, who seems to be getting something, and talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And that is a very successful strategy for students. And at the same time, you're meeting people and getting adjusted, and you're blending that pot. So if you feel like you stand out in some way and you haven't quite figured it out whether you're incoming or not, those are two things that you can do to connect with people.
Now, we hear the term peer pressure a lot, especially as it relates to young people, even though I believe that older people, we have some peer pressure as well. How do you combat that in the negative aspect of peer pressure? Anything or any stories that come to mind, someone that you've had to advise?
That's an interesting question, because I was also thinking about my own experience. I did go to a PWI, for example.
Okay, go ahead.
But I think it all comes back to maybe two things. As a college student, you're an adult, and one of the things that adults do is they think about, who am I? Who do I want to be? Why am I here? Right. And if you can keep yourself focused on that, and then you want to align yourself with people who are also focused on that, And if you figure out the things that make people successful earning the degree and put all that together, then I think you can resist, peer pressure. So it's about thinking about who you are and who you want to be. And once you've anchored that and what your goals are, then you can connect with people who are going to help you succeed and move forward. There's always going to be peer pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that we don't want students to have fun. That's not it at all. But you have to keep your eye on the prize, basically. And then that'll help you to push that to the side so that you're making the progress that you want to make.
Dr. Alexander, I like that Dr. Merriman said eyes on the prize. In the admissions part of this entire puzzle that we've been talking about, how do you encourage the student to keep their eyes on the prize?
Well, one of the things that we typically do is we talk about the resources and things that are available to students here to make sure that they're actually on track. My admissions counselors, they do a great job of sharing their personal experiences matriculating to Norfolk State and the path and the road that they took to completing their degree. And that helps out a lot because students can relate to other individuals. The other thing that we do is for students, our primary job is to recruit students to the institution. But for us in the Office of Admissions, it just doesn't stop with the recruitment process. Once the students come to the institution or choose to enroll into the institution, a lot of them, they do come by the office because recruiting students is about developing a relationship. So because we already have relationships with a lot of the students that we recruit, from time to time they come to the office and they want to talk to us about their experiences here thus far. And during those times is when we're able to, talk to them a little bit about, how to handle a certain situation or what they may not want to do. When I was here, I tried to do the same thing. So you may not want to go down this path. So, establishing those relationships and being able to talk to them about our own personal experiences on the admissions side really helps out.
And that really goes back to the point that you made in terms of a nurturing environment that many times you can find at an HBCU because many of the administrators, teachers, and so forth, they've been at an HBCU and they understand the whole culture and process of it. So are you alumni of Norfolk State University, particularly of an HBCU? What have your experiences been? How did you fit into the culture of the school that you went to? 757-823-9110. We want to hear from you live on the air, 823-9110. This is Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices. Hot 91.
Welcome back. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their community. We're talking about preparing college students to be successful in college, and we do have a caller on the line. Make sure that you can call in at 757-823-9110. So we have a caller on the line. Can you turn your radio down? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Can you turn your radio off? I can hear a lot of static and feedback.
It's probably because I'm driving.
Oh, okay. All right. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Nicole, and I'm calling from...
I'm sorry, Nicole, you're calling from where?
Norfolk.
Okay, and what is your question or comment?
No, I was just, as I was driving, I heard you talking about, going to the HBCUs and having that experience, that unique experience. I am an alumna of NSU, Behold the Green and Gold.
Yes.
And, my total experience was absolutely amazing. I don't believe that I could have gotten that same experience from going to a PWI. And just the nurturing aspect of it all was just so wonderful to me, and the bonds that I made with the other students on campus, it was just an all-around excellent experience.
Now, had you always wanted, Nicole, to go to an HBCU?
Yes, I did. I grew up during a time of a different world, and so, yes, I always wanted to go to an HBCU.
So what would you tell someone who's trying to decide with a PWI or HBCU? What would you tell them in terms of yes for one or yes for the other?
I would say that it means a lot to have someone who looks like you. We had a diverse campus as far as faculty. However, it means a lot to have someone who looks like you in your corner to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I got from my experience at Norfolk State. And, I mean, I even work now at an HBCU.
Nice.
So I wanted to give back to students who were just like me, first year, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to provide that type of nurturing and guidance. So I tell them, if you want a complete college experience around people who look like you, understand your struggles, you might not be from the same place, but they understand who you are at the core, then go to an HBCU.
Nicole, thank you so much for your call and your experience here.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great one.
Bye-bye. Dr. Alexander, Nicole said some of the things we've been saying all along. And I like that she said the nurturing aspect, as we've mentioned many times. And, of course, even so, her experience has been so good that she wanted to give back in the same way that she got that. Mm-hmm. I love that. What do you say about that?
Oh, I think it's great because now she can talk about her experience about going to an HBCU. Mm-hmm. And, again, she can relate to others that are currently attending an HBCU, and she can encourage others, to make their decision as to whether or not they should attend an HBCU.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dr. Newman?
Oh, I didn't have any follow-up. I just thought it was a great call.
I thought it was a great call. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Alexander. I graduated from here as well.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching A Different World. And I relate to the
Okay,
students.
me too.
They relate to me and some of the same things she experienced as working at HBCU, the same reason why I decided to work at HBCU myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you can't really say enough about that culture, about that nurturing, about that environment. It really does change lives. It absolutely does. And we can't go without saying that it affects, it changes. So we mentioned that we want to prepare our young people. We said even ninth grade and prepare. What about the younger child? And Dr. Mevin, you mentioned some of the camps that we have here and those kinds of things. So even for the younger child, maybe elementary school age.
Absolutely. I know we've had a STEM academy on campus this summer, kids that come up to your waist who are running around, but they're learning about science and they're staying on campus all day. And again, it's a great opportunity for them to connect with professors before they know what professors are and to learn, oh, do I like science? Do I not like science? It also helps them to connect with people from different backgrounds because there will be a variety of students there. So there are lots of opportunities on this campus as well. And everybody's community has some sort of opportunity on the academic side for camp. But like I mentioned, even athletic camps, we had a softball camp, we've had basketball camp, football camp on our campus. Those are, again, opportunities for students to learn how to connect with people they don't know who are coming from other backgrounds and cultures, as we've mentioned. Sometimes they stay in the dorms on campus. They learn new skills. They learn, those are the things that, again, help to get them acclimated and thinking about what's the step after high school.
Absolutely. So, Malik, we have about 10 minutes or so, or a little bit less. Tell someone out there who's listening, again, the major thing you want them to take away in terms of financial aid and preparing for college success.
Is money available? Most people get intimidated by the process. The FAFSA may be confusing, intimidating. There's help, free help. There's free application. You shouldn't have to pay for anybody to help you. The university offers funding. You can't pay for your tuition. They will have scholarships. They probably can if you're academic or athlete to get full tuition. But we have institutional scholarships, institutional funds. There's federal grants. There's federal loans. There's work study. Anybody who plans properly, apply early enough, pretty much they can go to college with help and assistance from our office.
And that can help it. One little question, although, about work study. Once you are admitted to the school, then you can apply for work study?
Well, work study it's awarded from your FAFSA.
Okay.
There's federal work study, the state work study. The federal government give us allotment of amount we can give out per year. The Commonwealth of Virginia give us allotment we give out per year. If you have work study, you can work throughout the semester, get a check every 2 weeks towards that amount. If you don't have work study, sometimes you get on the waiting list if you can receive it a little bit later once classes start. But we do offer work study to thousands of students each year.
Okay. Same question. The major takeaway. for admissions?
I think for admissions, I think there are 4 takeaways that I would like to leave everyone. And that's one is start early. And the 3 that I mentioned earlier before, finding a school, institutional fit, finding a school that you're going to feel comfortable with. And again, being comfortable is, geographic location of where the institution is. If you actually visit the school, getting a feel for the people, the facilities that are on campus. Then we go on to academic major, making sure that the institution has the major that you're trying to pursue, and make sure that the particular major is in an accredited field. And lastly, just making sure financially that you are actually prepared and go somewhere that you can actually afford.
Absolutely. And Dr. Bevan.
So on the academic side, I would like people to remember that there is something called academic skills, basically, right? So there are things that you can do to succeed on campus, and understanding what those things are is really important, and then doing them. So, for example, there is something called a syllabus, and every class has it, and you want to make sure you know what's on the syllabus because it's all the requirements for the class. So the other thing is it's really important to study and take notes.
Yes.
I mean, that's a skill. We have workshops that help teach people how to do that, so that's important to stay focused, and then don't wait. If you're having trouble with something in a class, or even with your roommate, for example, but it's affecting your ability to do work in class, please reach out to the resources as soon as possible. So, getting prepared early, following up when you're on campus is don't let problems escalate. I think Dr. Stith said, we want to help you when it's a molehill, not when it's a mountain.
Oh, absolutely.
So just recognizing that there is a way to do college, to succeed in college, and then taking advantage of the resources that will help you figure out what you need to do to succeed.
Absolutely. There's a process. Go ahead, Dr.
There was one other thing that we didn't talk about. Well, I didn't mention, and I just thought about it, was for students taking advantage of advanced placement courses, AP courses, as well as opportunities for dual enrollment.
Okay.
And when I say dual enrollment, I'm meaning if you have the opportunity to take some college-level courses, maybe at a local community college or just another 4-year institution that may be in the area, to have students take advantage of those opportunities, because at the time that a student actually decides they want to come to college, they can actually get credit for those courses, and those will be just courses that they will substitute typically for courses they would have to take in college. So it kind of lessens their time at the institution, because we have students literally that have associate's degrees from high school that come in, and then they only have to spend 2 more years, and they'll have a 2-year degree and a 4-year degree all in 2 years.
That is amazing. And that saves money.
Yes,
on top of all of that. I'm really glad you made that point, because there could be high school students listening out there, or parents, and they said, I didn't know that, and that is very important. So where can they find you? Go ahead and tell us, Malik, please. Where can they find you?
Well, we are at the Student Service Center on the 2nd floor. Our office hours from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We also have our website with all the details about grants, scholarships, loans, and work study. We have forms, documents you can print off. We always are available by a phone call. This is a busy time, so we get thousands of calls a week, hundreds a day. We are open to the public, so if you attend Norfolk State, we're welcome to help. If you're actually going to any other college or university, we still will help you. We are obligated to help anybody with financial aid questions or concerns. Norfolk State is our university, but any student will help. Any student or parent will help you. We set out to help them anyway.
Absolutely. Any social media handles or anything can they find you? We
have NSU scholarships on Twitter. We have NSU scholarships on Instagram, and we have NSU financial aid on Facebook. We do put scholarships every week, sometimes 2 or 3 per week. So if you follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, I'm going to repeat it again. NSU scholarships on Twitter, NSU scholarship on Instagram, and NSU financial aid on Facebook. And you can follow us now, and maybe a scholarship available right now that you can qualify for this year.
Absolutely. Dr. Alexander.
Yes, we are also located in the Student Services Center on the 2nd floor. We're down the hall from financial aid. We're also open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And our office number is 757-823-8396. If you have any admissions questions feel free to give us a call.
Okay. Any social media?
We are on Instagram. I believe it's NSU Admissions.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. And Dr. Mevin?
So we're physically located in the NGE, the Nursing General Education Building. Our main office number is 757-823-8507. And we are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. It's a little awkward. You can look up Student Success Center or NSU PLSSC, which is the Dr. Patricia Lynch Stith Student Success Center. But also, if you just go to @Norfolk State, you'll connect with all of us, because they also, not only do they put out information, but they connect to the things that we're doing on social media as well.
Absolutely. So we have been talking about college success, preparing for college success, and there's been so much great information. Again, we've heard from Malik Gladden, Financial Aid Advisor. Thank you again so much, Malik, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Felicia Mebin, the Director of the Student Success Center. Dr. Mebin, thank you again.
Thank you.
And the Director of the Office of Admissions, Dr. Juan Alexander. Dr. Alexander, thank you.
Thank you.
If you need to connect with me, my email address is bkadams@nsu.edu. And don't forget to follow us. It's hashtag Hot91 online. We want to hear from you. Don't forget, we rebroadcast the show Sunday at noon, and then it's on our YouTube channel. So again, Hampton Roads Voices, preparing for college success. Thank you so much. I'm Benita Adams. We'll see you next time.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM. Thank you for listening.